what would like to know, what we know about Serena, Chigo, and Kampala, but I think my focus here will be more on Chigo because, like I said, we are focusing on the holiday leisure part, and I think between the two, Kampala and Chigo, it's Chigo that gets the more leisure, isn't it, Marcelo?
Yes, it is. Actually, that's very true because if you look at the business model of the two properties, you realize that Kampala attracts 90% of our business is actually corporate markets, and those are corporate travelers. And then Lake Victoria, the way it's set up and everything is actually 90% of its business is actually either local corporates or government or local leisure and some international leisure business. But I think in line with your question, Lake Victoria would be more inclined, that's Lake Victoria Serena Golf Resorts and Spa, is more inclined for leisure travel and the leisure market, But we try to use our synergies and we share a lot of business, but they have a lot more they have a bigger stake in the local markets, yes.
Okay, so that's why I'd like to focus more on that one. So what I would like to ask is, given what has happened with the lockdown, you have obviously, there's going to be a huge reduction in business from weddings because of, no matter what happens tonight with the president's speech talk, basically, I don't see large crowds being permitted in the near future. I think that's going to take a while. And when I say large crowds, I mean our typical weddings that you used to have at the Colosseum of like 700, 500, 600, that's not going to happen. So obviously that's going to be a reduction in that business. Then corporate business, which is shops, meetings, all that. I'm sure you're already anticipating very little of this. What's your comment on that?
Thank you very much, Laura, again for convening everyone here. It's a very interesting discussion. I know, just like my other colleagues here, it's been a very troublesome time for all of us. It's been very uncertain from around maybe February when we started getting a lot of cancellations. We said now, getting back onto the drawing board and strategizing and seeing how we're going to survive through this. I don't want to make a political statement, but I would like to commend the efforts of the Ministry of Health. I think they've done a tremendous job to try and mitigate the effects and try and contain it. But then also, I think Uganda has, in a sense, dodged the heavy health impacts, but financially, we're going to really have a huge impact, either in the short term or in the long term, for hospitality in particular. Of course, like you mentioned, like with borders still closed, when we talk about Uganda, as we talk about hospitality in Uganda, we are not going to just focus. Okay, we'll focus on the local for now, but remember, Uganda is a destination, right? All this feeds into how celebrable we are as a destination. How I think it's like interrelated. So we'll just keep going back and forth, also focusing now on the local. I think with borders closed, it's going to be very difficult because we have very heavy operational commitments at the moment. However, just the same way we closed down initially, it was in a phased way. We didn't shut down immediately. We had borders were closed. Actually, before the borders were closed, we already got cancellations, and so we started now, re-strategizing, saying where do we focus our energies? And so we thought, how about we look at the East African markets, which is, our second highest producers out of Europe and America. So we said, how do we get East Africans to actually come? Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda. Then when eventually they reported their first cases, so we said, okay, fine. So now let's focus on the locals, which we've actually always done. We have different aspects of our business. We have different facilities for them. So that's accommodation, that's food and beverage, that's a spa, that's, all these facilities. So we said, now let's focus. Let's sell the weekend offers. Let's discount our rates and actually offer a standard local rates, weekdays, weekends, to attract more people coming in. And that's what we've been doing, and we're going to continue doing that for a time. However, as we're going to reopen the hotel, we are thinking, as both Chigo and Kampala Serena, we won't go straight back into full-time operation, which I believe that most people probably won't. We're anticipating that when we get the president, His Excellency, actually lifts transportation or the curfew on public transport, we can open a few restaurants, the Lex restaurants. And then eventually we'll actually see how that will go. And if there's a demand for it, then we shall open, our rooms and accommodation. Wouldn't want to go straight into it because of so many obligations, the labor, regrouping everyone. Most people have been sent away. So that's what we're doing. We are going to still offer the locals the same rates. I don't want to advertise them, of course, right now, but we have packages that we're going to offer the locals for both Lake Victoria and for Kampala Serena. We shall send out a communication in that regard. We shall continue to host weddings as we previously have, because as human beings, we're very social animals and we'll always want to, convene and meet and celebrate and do things like that. But of course, we'll have to continue doing that within the confinements of the law. Like you said again, for the Kampala Serena, 90% of our business is corporate. And we're going to continue to focus on that because we believe that in the short term, actually business is going to come. In the short term, we may get a bit of a beating, but in the long term, our business is actually going to come back. Because we're very optimistic that most corporate companies are going to continue running training schedules. They're going to run with the events calendars. Just to give you an idea, I don't think corporate companies were hosting these events just for the sake of doing it. They have strategies and they have reasons why. And so we believe that this is going to be scaled down in the short term, but we're very optimistic that in the long term, we're going to see, of course, all this business coming back. We're going to see a few more, increased meetings coming up. But the beauty is that we are ready for that. We have a whole strategy, ready to receive our guests. I'll just quickly take you through some of the things that we've actually done to prepare for that, for both the Kampala and the Lake Victoria. We're trying to ensure that, of course, the safety of our guests and our staff is paramount. It has always been a priority. We shall definitely try as much as possible to adhere to government SOPs and health protocols. As the Kampala Serena and the Lake Victoria, we've always actually taken this very seriously. We've always followed, we've always had SGS inspections, which are a requirement for our star rating. As well as HACCP. So HACCP is, just for those that don't know what HACCP is, it's a systematic approach to identify and evaluate and control the food safety. And so these are some of the requirements that we must comply to. We must comply with to be able to bid for international business, to be able to host certain caliber of clientele. And so we've always actually maintained impeccable standards of hygiene, and this is not new to us. We're going to retrain and equip our local nurse, that is a resident nurse, okay, not a resident nurse, but our in-house nurse, so that we can be able to give our guests a reassurance that we know we're complying, we're maintaining very high standards of hygiene and things like that. Definitely, we shall try and move to e-commerce. I know this is something that's not very embraced here locally. But with trying to limit the contacts with the staff and the guests, we're encouraged to book online. Our website is very active and up. If you need to book for a meal for the restaurant. Sorry, someone just jumped in with some dance music.
Yeah, I'll ignore that.
Okay. Don't worry. So I was saying, so this is what you're referring to about people hacking in and doing their own stuff, right?
Yeah.
Earlier on. Yeah. So I'll just go quickly through what we've planned. So e-commerce is going to take center stage, of course. So going forward, we shall encourage online bookings, which will, of course, will help us with keeping within the guidelines of social distancing and trying to avoid limit the contact. We have the Serena app that is actually is in the final stages. And so hopefully when it's finally launched, it will trickle down to every aspect of the customer journey. That is a check-in process, accessing lifts, accessing your room so you don't have to touch the doorknobs and things like that, down to taking restaurant orders. Of course, management is trying to encourage online payments. So when you come to a restaurant, when you come to a hotel, as opposed to exchanging cash, we'll encourage you to utilize, and we'll work with our partners, that's Stanbic, ABSA, and all these other, banks, Equity, to try and encourage all our customers to actually have like cashless payments. mobile money is up and running. It's an amazing, I think, tool. So we're trying to utilize that. Of course, with zero to single digital occupancy, our cash flow and accessing finance is going to be very difficult. So we will try and discourage credit facilities. I know the majority of our businesses has been, do this for me, I'll probably pay you later, or an LP or things like that. For running contracts, we'll try as much as possible to have a payment plan in place. But we all know that hospitality has taken a very big hit. Most of us haven't received any cash for the last couple of months. And so we need to be able to safeguard and protect our money as much as possible.
Yeah.
Of course, yes, and also would like to encourage advanced bookings. We don't have a very healthy culture in making these bookings, but if we must follow the guidelines given by the government, and it's a collaborative effort here, and this is like a call for every Ugandan. We encourage book in advance. If, for example, let's say the Lex restaurant, its typical capacity is about 200 people. But now with the new guidelines, we'll probably be hosting about 100 people max. Yeah, we can't host more than that. To avoid being disappointed, would encourage that you book in advance. We shall utilize a lot of our outdoor spaces for Lake Victoria and for Kampala. We're very lucky that we have. We'll try and utilize our restaurants. We'll sit outside. We'll set up outside. Of course, following every single guideline, as has already been said. But also, we're very, very lucky and very happy to say that we actually have structures in place. And a lot of training has always been done and will continue to be done for everyone to follow that. Of course, in the short term, we think that our operations may change a little bit, but we'll definitely try to, like I said before we closed, we went through, not every single day was the same. We had a strategy, we had a contingency plan. Within a few minutes, everything was flipped over. We had to regroup and restructure. So we'll continue to do that. Things will change over time. But I'm very hopeful, personally, really hopeful that we'll bounce back, because hospitality has always, taken a hit. But we're very resilient. And I think we've weathered the storm before with terrorism and Ebola. And we'll definitely do this again. But again, it has to be a collaborative effort. Ugandans have to be very dedicated custodians of the government SOPs to be able to protect each other. That's person to person, hotel to hotel. Because I may comply, my colleague may not comply, and then we pass around. Or they may comply, I may not comply, and we eventually impact each other. So basically, that's it. We'll try as much as possible to, we have services in place tailored for the local market, and we shall continue to offer the best that we can to the locals.
Thank you, Marcy. I love the optimism very much. That's what we need to hear. That's what we need to hear from you guys. So in summary, what I have picked out in summary is that you're going at this with a phased approach. Basically,
yes, we are.
Start by opening the restaurants, and we all love the restaurants there. And then
we shall start with one restaurant for a start.
Yeah.
Then we eventually open. Yes.
Okay. So basically phased, meaning you won't completely open up even the accommodation part, but you will start with the restaurant and maybe the golf club and all that, phased in that way.
Yes.
And then that's short term, and then medium to long term, you will eventually, start to open up the accommodation part based on demand. Mm-hmm. You still believe that corporate business will still be there, and you're right. This is still in their budgets. It's part of their strategic. Whether it's trainings or
plans,
plans are still there. And COVID may have delayed them, but I don't think it has completely eliminated them. Yes, and then
and also, just to add to that, Laura, I think just try to be very optimistic. I think that some of these corporate companies actually will probably be more they'll be more secure knowing that larger hotels or establishments actually are following these guidelines of the protocols to the dot, even better than their own offices. So as opposed to, inviting a guest to come to my office and have a meeting there, I would be sure that I'm protecting them and myself with going to an establishment that I know is following certain guidelines. So
very smart of you to say, you're trying to say that it's safer to have a meeting at your premises than in their own offices. Okay, so and then also I like that you said all the plans that you're putting in place for minimized contact points, handling of cash. Today I went to a supermarket.
Exactly.
My cards, and I was given the POS machine to put in my.
Yeah, exactly.
I ended up using
you're requested
my
to
sleeve to put in. So it got me thinking about how not all of us are really thinking about the whole 360-degree consumer experience process.
Yeah, the customer journey.
Yes, and then the customer journey, and then you also said that you have prices for the local market, the domestic market,
Yes.
the Ugandan traveler, basically. And
Yes.
forward
Yes.
to seeing all these. We follow your pages, so we'll keep updating our platforms as well on this. Thank you very much, Mercy. Thank you very much. I think it feels really good to know what you have in plan and that you're actually planning and you're not in the red like we keep hearing, collapse, blah blah blah. That's really good that you're working on.